Messenger by Lois Lowry, Chapter 19. Night was ending, and they were still alive. Matty woke at dawn to find himself still curled next to Kira in the place where they had collapsed together after struggling as far as they could into the evening. "Kira!" His voice was hoarse from thirst. But she heard him and stirred. She opened her eyes. "I can't see very well," she whispered. "Everything is blurred." "Can you sit up?" he asked. She tried and groaned. "I'm so weak," she said. "Wait." She took a deep breath and then painfully pushed herself into a sitting position. "What's that on your face?" she asked him. He touched his upper lip where she pointed and brought his hand away, smeared with bright blood. "My nose is bleeding," he said, puzzled. She handed him the cloth she had worn around her face the day before, and he held it against his nose to try to stem the flow of blood. "Do you think you can walk?" he asked her after a moment, but she shook her head. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Matty." He wasn't surprised. After the thorny branches had shredded her dress, they had reached for her legs as night fell, and now he could see that she was terribly lacerated. The wounds were deep, and he could see exposed muscles and tendons, glistening yellow and pink in a devastating kind of beauty where the ragged flesh gaped open. Matty himself could probably still stumble along, but his arms were completely useless now, and his hands seemed no more than huge paws. He could no longer even hold the knife with any strength. As for Frolic, he didn't know. The little dog lay motionless against his chest. He watched dully as a brown lizard with a darting tongue scrambled across their blanket with its tail flicking. "You go on," Kira murmured. She lay back down and closed her eyes. "I'll just sleep." He moved his damaged arms with some difficulty to her pack, which lay beside her where she had dropped it the night before. Through a haze of pain, he realized that his fingers still moved awkwardly at his will, and he used them to open her pack and remove the embroidery frame. Painstakingly, slowly, he threaded her needle. Then he shook her awake. "Don't. I don't want to wake up." "Kira," he said to her, "take this." He handed her the frame. "Just try one more time, please. See where Leader is, if you can." She blinked and looked at the frame as if it were unfamiliar. Matty pulled the threaded needle into her right hand. He was remembering something. It was something he had said once to Leader, about meeting halfway. But she had closed her eyes again. He spoke loudly to her. "Kira, put the needle into the fabric and try to meet him. Try, Kira." Kira sighed, and with a feeble gesture she inserted the needle into the cloth as he held the frame for her. He watched her hands. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. "Again!" he implored. He saw her hands flutter, and the shimmer came. Leader felt Forrest's attack begin when he was 2 days in. Probably it had started earlier, with sharp twigs. He remembered now that one had barely missed his eye, but he had been so intent then on finding and following the path that he had not paid attention to the little wounds inflicted on him. He had strode deep through the woods with no thought of danger. He concentrated only on finding the pair that he had seen so close to death. He didn't eat or sleep. He had begun to perceive the stench on the morning of the second day, and it served to hurry his steps. Without flinching, he brushed aside the grasping branches and ignored the thorns that scraped his arms and face. He encountered a place where the path seemed to simply end. He stopped, puzzled, and examined the undergrowth. From somewhere nearby, a shiny green frog emerged from the base of a bush. Chirrumph, chirrumph. It hopped and skittered toward him in the mud, then turned itself around and went forward. To his surprise, Leader followed the frog, pushing his way through thick bushes, and found that it had led him to the place where the path resumed. Relieved, for he had thought briefly that he was lost, he continued on. But now he recognized the attacks. Now he saw that it was not random thorny branches and his own clumsiness in walking into them, but rather an assault from Forrest itself. Suddenly the air around him was abuzz with stinging insects. They flew at his face and bit mercilessly. He remembered from his reading descriptions of besieged medieval castles and armies of men with bows sending so many arrows that the sky seemed thick with them. This felt like that. He felt pierced in 1,000 places, and he cried out. Then just as suddenly they were gone, regrouping, he thought, for another attack. He rushed forward, thinking to move away from this swampy area which harbored and bred such creatures. Indeed, the path did turn and led to drier ground, But here a sharp rock flung itself up and split the skin on his knee. Then another sliced his hand so badly that he had to wrap the cut tightly in cloth, for fear the loss of blood would weaken him beyond repair. Stumbling and bleeding, he wished briefly that he had brought some kind of weapon. But what would have protected him against force itself? It was a force too huge to fight with a knife or a club. "Our gifts are our weaponry," he remembered saying to the blind man. It seemed so long ago that he had said it. He had felt certain of it at the time, but now he could not even think what he had meant. He stood silently for a moment. His face was disfigured now, swollen from bites that oozed a dark fluid. Blood ran from his left ear, which had been gashed by a razor-sharp stone. One of his ankles was entangled by a vine that grew so quickly he could see it move, snaking its way towards his knee. He knew he would soon be immobilized by it, and the insects would return then to finish him off. He faced what he knew to be the center of forest, the place where Mattie and Kira were trapped, and he willed himself to look beyond. It seemed the only thing left to do.